So the worst advice I hear is that you should keep under the VAT threshold. Now, this might be fine for someone who's a plumber or a lifestyle business where they're making basically all of that income and they're taking it as profit. But for e-commerce businesses, this doesn't make sense. So I'm going to tell you why. In e-commerce, your margins are going to be between 20 and 30%. So that means if you're going to stay below the threshold of 90K, that means your profit margin is going to be maximum 18K to 21K. Now, if you're happy with that, fine. But if you're risking your money, your time into your e-commerce venture, then you probably get a better return on investment if you just work at McDonald's. Therefore, if you're starting an e-commerce business, you want to be planning to make more than 100K. So you're going to have to be VAT registered to get there. I'm going to show you how you can plan for VAT from day one so that hitting the VAT threshold isn't a barrier, but it's just a target. So let's just give a quick summary of VAT. You've got a threshold of £90,000 before you need to register. And this is only on UK sales. So if you're selling in America using FBA, these actually don't count towards your VAT threshold. It's only UK sales. You'll then have to submit your VAT returns and pay HMRC every quarter. So e-commerce profits are around 20 to 30%. So if you want to get to 100K profit, that means you need between 400 and 500K of revenue. That is way above the VAT threshold. So it means that should be a target rather than a hurdle. The reason why people see VAT as a hurdle is because they don't factor in VAT from day one. We had a client come to us and they had made 90K. They're now having to register VAT. The problem is when they got registered, we calculated their profitability and he was making a loss. And the reason why is because if you're VAT registered, your margins will be eroded by up to 10%. And he was making a profit of 8% before he was VAT registered. And he couldn't increase his prices because the market was competitive. So in the end, he just stopped selling. The key problem here is he built his business on sand. It wasn't a real business because it couldn't survive a VAT registration. Therefore, to make a scalable business which makes decent profit, you need to factor in VAT from day one. And we have got a system which we use with our clients and we call it pretending to be VAT registered. Now, I don't mean you tell people you're VAT registered or charge people VAT because that's illegal. What I'm talking about is in your pricing strategy, when you're coming up with your prices, you pretend to be VAT registered. So when you come up with your pricing strategy, before you're VAT registered, you might be making 40%, but after you're VAT registered, you'll be making 30%. But in both cases, you can make a scalable business. So 40%, great, bonus margin. 30%, I can scale that beyond my VAT registration and keep making those profits at 30%. I'm going to look at an example now where someone's just not considered what the price would be or the margin would be when they're VAT registered. So someone here has got their price at £25, their cost of goods at £12, their selling fees at £11, and they've got a margin of £2, which is an 8% margin. Now, what happens when we actually apply VAT to this? So their price goes from £25 to £20.83 because we've divided it by 1.2 because 20% of that is going to HMRC. You have to pay that out. Then you've got cost of goods. There's no VAT on them. They've checked the invoice. There's no VAT. They can't reclaim anything. And then they've got selling fees. So in this case, it's Amazon fees. You can actually claim 20% on Amazon fees now. And again, we divide that by 1.2 and what we get is £9.17. And you can see now they're making a loss. They're making a loss of 2%. So their business doesn't work anymore. And maybe they can't change prices because the market's not there. Let's look at an example of how you'd work through pricing this for your product. So you start off with your price. So we've got £30 here. And you've got cost of goods of £9, and then selling fees of £9, and then a margin of £12. That gives us a margin percentage of 40%. That looks really good. So when we apply VAT to it, we see our sales price. We need to divide that by 1.2 to remove the VAT we're going to pay HMRC. And that's now £25. The cost of goods, we've looked at the invoice. We can't claim anything back there, so there's no adjustment required there. Then we see the selling fees from Amazon, and we can see that we can divide that by 1.2%, so it's £7.50. That gives us a margin of £8.50. So yeah, this is lower, but it's still a 34% margin. So doing that calculation is how you can make sure that the product you're pricing now will survive a VAT threshold. And in some cases, it's not going to stack up and you're going to have to change product because there's no point trying to scale a business up to 90K and then it doesn't work after that. So if your product cannot survive this exercise, then you need to find a different product because this one's not going to work. You can get it to 90K, but beyond that, it's not going to work. So you want to do this until you find the right price, the right item, and it makes sense when you're VAT registered and you're not VAT registered. We've actually created a template to make this easy for you. So it's in the description below. And what this is an Excel spreadsheet, which you can look at pre-VAT registration and post-VAT registration, and if that product is going to be profitable or not. I just want to add, we're doing this based on a normal VAT scheme. So there are other VAT schemes like the flat rate scheme, but the normal VAT scheme is the worst case scenario, and this is what you want to base your calculations on. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can learn about how understanding your numbers will make a profitable business.